All right, here we go. Get ready to have a good time. This is exciting, isn't it?
Hello, testing.
Welcome aboard the Dream Rider.
It's the only way to fly.
Look at me.
Podcaster.
Look at me.
Podcaster.
I'm the captain now.
Podcaster.
Gary.
Here's a young speaker who is really in demand.
Don't let that go to your head, Gary.
But wait, there's more.
That's what I'm talking about.
He is Gary Meier.
Hello, GarrForce. It's the Friday, March 25th, 2022 edition of the Garry Meier Show, Cocktail Hour Live.
Cocktails. Woo! Drinks.
We've made another on-time departure at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 Central, 4 Mountain, 3 Pacific, and so forth. Today's show asks the question, what's in your collection? While you're thinking about your answer, whether you watch live or later, be sure to like and share the show on all of your favorite social media channels. Our preferred streaming platform is YouTube. Subscribe to the GarrForce Live YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to be notified when we're live. All of these things help the show, and if you've done them already, thanks. Comments are always welcome too, and when we're live and you comment on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, we may show it on the screen, and Garry may talk about it. Of course, no matter where you are, it's time for a digital mimosa. Now, fasten your seatbelts, it's time to go wheels up on the GarrForce Live!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Cocktail Hour. And I'm just going to say at the outset, I'm going to notify the affiliates down the line. I think we're going to run long tonight. I have a lot to do, and I'm really looking forward to this show because we have a couple of guys here who are considered ultra collectors. And when you have plexiglass or glass cases that house your collections, that's a different level than the people that just buy a few things and put them on a shelf. This is the top of the collectible heap, and we're going to talk to Bill Leff and Gregg Potter in just a few minutes. Let me kick the tires and light the fires to get this thing going, and there are the tires. Let's light them up. They're on fire. We're ready to go. It's wheels up, and I want to say hello to some people. First of all, Keely-Ann is the first to check in every week, and what has she said on the comment section? Alan, could you put that up? Maybe I should put my Schnauzer collection on, say, display like they do on Light Fight. That's what they say on Light Fight. They don't say display. They say display. All right, Keely-Ann, thank you. Good that you've checked in, as has Martin from British Columbia, Anthony, Marcia. And she has something to say. Hello, GarrForce checking in from Aurora, Illinois. My bread machine has 20 minutes before it's done, and the smell through the house is yummy. Prepared Pantry New England soup and sandwich bread mix. Yeah, I have had a bread machine for 30 years, and you do this bread machine dealio, and you will not be unhappy. The last 45 minutes, the aroma is just captivating. It's like you're a cartoon, and you're lifted up, and the aroma is underneath. You can see the aroma in the cartoon, and it just pulls you across the room to the bread machine. I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying that. All right. Thank you, Marcia. And Keely-Ann, I mentioned David R., Brian, Michael, Barb. It's Luxardo cherry time. Yes, it is. And Deborah and Deb and Johnny from Michigan. And now I'm going to the screen door to say hello to Allison. And she went to high school with Gregg Potter, one of my guests today. Sue. And you got Walter and Sherry, John, all checking in. Thank you. Glad to have you on board. Okay, Leslie, you have to really officially kick things off with the release of the wine condom. How are you?
It would be my pleasure. I'm doing just fine. Thank you very much.
Good.
So here we go.
It's got a nice tip. And straight up.
Oh,
straight up.
I
And that's,
knew this one was going to be a special show today.
That's how
Cheers,
I like
everybody.
my Manhattan. Straight up. What are you drinking there?
I got me a Curious Beast Chardonnay. It is a delicious wine And it's got a super cool bottle.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
And later, Leslie is going to give away one of those wine condoms, and she's going to reach into her fun bag and pull something out, and that will accompany the wine condom in the mail to the lucky winner. Now, speaking of giving stuff away, Alan last week set people up to apply to win a GarrForce magnet and a bottle opener. Yep, there they are. And he's got everything in the queue, and he's going to push a button, right, Alan, and pick the winner of those things.
I'm going to turn on my camera, and I'm just going to ask Siri to pick a random number. We had 27 folks who completed the form correctly. There they are. If you see your name up there, the number next to your name, that's the number that if it comes up, you're the winner. And I'm going to get my phone unlocked here, and I'm going to ask Siri, pick a random number between 1 and 27, please. And let's see. Let's go over there. And what did she say? She's got number 9.
I'm sorry. Oh,
Number 9.
Number 9. Yeah. And you saw my step count today is 10,950. So number 9 is Kathleen Kerr. Congratulations, Kathleen. I'll send you an email, and all you need to do is give me your address, and I will get that stuff in the mail to you sometime soon. Congratulations on your magnet and bottle opener.
Wow, that's very nice. And Alan has walked over 10,000 steps today, so his heart's in good shape. That's good to hear.
That's good.
And
he always takes nice pictures along the way and shares them on Facebook.
He will put those out, alligators in his backyard and all kinds of Florida critters. He lives in Orlando.
You'll be happy to know that I got such a good Wi-Fi signal that Bill Leff and I were able to test his connection while I was walking for a good about 10 minutes or so. I saw this mother-child squirrel pair. And I could do more, but we've got other things to do in the show today.
You could do more animal pictures? You saw that? Sure. That's why you live in Orlando. Yeah, as Alan mentioned, we've got Bill Leff, the host of Tune In With Me on the MeTV network, this morning show that he does, this cartoon show. They show classic cartoons, Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd, Wile E. Coyote, all those classics. And Bill is the host, and he has a puppet. And let's bring Bill on, because I talked to Bill before the show, and I said, Bill, how do you like working with a puppet? And he said, Garry, I'll tell you what. I like working with the puppet better than I liked working with some humans in radio. I said, true that, brother. True that.
No doubt.
Yeah, I got no doubt about that. Welcome, Bill. How are you?
Hi, Garry. Hi, Leslie. I worked with Toonie the puppet for 6 months before I realized he was a puppet. I couldn't even tell the difference.
That's right, because you are really punch drunk from radio, and that's what it does to you. You can't tell a puppet from a real person after
There's
a while.
no way to decipher which is which. You know?
On top of that, the puppet's smoking him, it turns out. We saw news today that the puppet's like, that Bill guy, I'll work with him part-time, but I'm getting my own show.
Yeah, okay. He has a spin-off that's going to premiere tomorrow night as part of Svenguli's show. His name is Toonie the Tuna, but he's Sven Toonie for the purpose of this spinoff.
Of course,
I think this is the first time in television history that a puppet has been spun off. I think it is. Wow, a spinoff of a puppet. That's amazing.
This would be like Big Bird just going, you know what I want to do? Talk.
Yeah. I need my own show. God damn it. What, Krusty the Clown like? Yeah, come on. Yeah. Okay, so this MeTV, this thing is across the country now and just burning it up. And Bill was telling us before we came on live here that his show is really obliterating a lot of so-called legitimate news shows and stuff. And I'll tell you, I don't think that's a surprise, because it's a great show. And nobody wants to wake up anymore and hear about death in Ukraine and $7 gas prices and all the other nonsense. Your head's ready to explode. It's only 7 a.m.
Yeah, our approach is a little later than your average news show.
Yeah, good.
Not a lot later, but a little bit later. And, when they first came up with the idea for the show, that was it exactly, was people are so sick of starting the day with bad news. Let's give them something fun to watch, some cartoons and hopefully some comedy. And it's been paying off. Everybody seems to be enjoying it.
Not that I don't mind hearing Gayle King tell me that she talked to Madeleine Albright a few weeks ago and she didn't look sick. That really, that's gold. That's beautiful, but I'd rather go to Bugs Bunny at that point and do. And you are a nice warm up to my double beaver because I go right from you to 2 double beavers, and my day is feeling pretty damn good.
Good. That's that was our intention. So
yes,
accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, really, this channel is hitting the comfort zone exactly where it needs to be hit. And Svengoolie's been on for many years, and I've had Rich Coase, aka Svengoolie, on. Nicest guy, and I'm glad you two are bookending that whole system there, and it's really working well. Congratulations.
Thank you. The parent company, Weigel Broadcasting, keeps buying up more and more networks, and they know what they're doing. So I'm in a very lucky place. I really am.
Well,
you'll be able to afford more toys. Oh,
that's the goal, Leslie. That's why.
Now, if you've seen Bill's show, Tune In With Me, you'll notice there is a bank of monitors, TV, computer. I'm assuming those are from his collection because there are about 50 of them. And I'm thinking, Bill brought those in. He must have owned those and said, I'll bring in the set. I've got all these screens.
They did the search. They wanted to find a dozen vintage TVs, circa early 60s, mid 60s. And they went online and they found a bunch and they rewired them to put monitors inside all the TVs. And when people come to the studio, people who are working on the show for the first time and they see it, their jaws drop open and they always say the same thing. My mom and dad had that TV. My mom and dad had that TV. It brings back very fond memories for people.
Yes. Some of us remember when TV was furniture. It was a gigantic cabinet surrounding a screen, and you could put things on the cabinet, and then there's the screen in the middle. And you, believe it or not, there was a time when you had to get up and actually change the channel.
Yes.
Back in the old-timey days.
And I'll tell you, I had
relatives steal at that point too.
Yes, I had a Sony console that was not exaggerating, 400 pounds.
Yeah.
400-pound TV.
My grandparents' TV, they never called it television. They just said the Philco. They go, something's wrong with the Philco. We don't know what's wrong with the Philco.
And do you remember the tubes in the back? And if a tube was out, you'd have to take them all out, then go to the Ace Hardware, and they had a tube tester, and you'd plug them in to see if they lit. And I'm thinking, we sound like we're 1,000 years old.
Gary,
I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Wow.
Did you work at Oak Drugs for a while, Gary, or am I imagining that?
You're close. I worked at Oak Forest Pharmacy. I said this on the show this week. Bill and I grew up in the same Chicago suburban town, Oak Forest, Illinois. And Bill sat behind my parents in church every week. And my father apparently was very, very into praying and would bend his head down to where the collar of his coat looked like he had no head. And Bill related that to me when he first saw me many years ago and said, hey, I saw your father in church. His head was way down. I thought his head was missing.
My mom used to say before church, if either of you laughs at Mr. Meier's lack of a head, even one time.
Yeah, you got you to answer to. And I worked at Oak Forest
they're
Pharmacy.
limber.
Oh, yes, we really are. I can put my head in places you wouldn't believe either, and find myself doing it more during these troubling times. I worked at, like I said, Oak Forest Pharmacy, and Oak Drugs was our competitor. Yeah, so we were in that.
Do you remember Oak Drugs had that giant tube tester
Yes.
From home and plugged them in to see if they were working and at what capacity?
Yes, and this is not that long ago. It does sound like thousands of years ago, but it wasn't, because it started to really accelerate to where the technology is now. They say the technology is happening in increments of 5 years, where it used to take 25 years. And I'm sure it's even faster now, but that's the way it goes. But anyway, Bill and I share this common childhood hometown. And then he tells me the guy that runs the puppet is from Oak Forest, Illinois. And I'm thinking, what was in the water? What were we drinking where we said we've got to be in some business where we don't really have to work too hard?
Kevin Fleming, who does the voice of Toonie, and he does Mr. Quizzer on the show and dozens of other characters, grew up just a mile away. Gary, you and I grew up 2 blocks away from each other. Kevin grew up about a mile away. And Jimmy Pardo, one of our favorite comics, not far away from that.
Yeah, another guy who was from the area. And I looked at Dennis the Menace when I was a kid, and he was about my age when he was on that show. And I thought, that kid is getting paid to do that? And then here's what sold it to me. They had this show called Here's Hollywood, and they went to Jay North, who played Dennis. They went to his house in Hollywood, and he's in his in-ground pool
Yeah.
in a little boat. And I'm thinking, it's January in Chicago, and he's in a swimming pool. Where is that? Is that
Right.
Oz? How do I get there? And that's kind of what set me on this road to whatever this is that I'm doing. And I didn't get to Los Angeles in that capacity, but this is fine.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed whatever run I've had here, and I'm still enjoying it.
You have a little blow-up raft in your little blow-up pool, though. That's the
Yeah.
only problem.
Yeah, I'll do whatever I have to do to replicate that. Yes. So what we're doing here is taking a look, and we kind of glanced on it the last time you were on, and we thought we'd go a little deeper into what you have collected. And let me, before we start the collection, we have just a sample, but when did it start? Where did it start? How does it start?
It started for me when I was a very little kid, when I was 4 or 5 years old. I looked at the toys, not just as playthings, but as art. I saw them as art, and I would play with them, certainly. But then when I was done, I put them back in their boxes and put them on the shelf or put them in our closet, in a bigger box. I was very careful, very particular about them. I didn't want them to get dirty or broken. And then at some point I realized, wow, I've got hundreds of these things, and hundreds became thousands. And now I've got a little over 30,000 pieces in my collection.
So you start that way, and then how often are you buying pieces? When does it accelerate? And suddenly you go from 5 pieces to 25 to 105. Is it every week now you're buying stuff? What's the transaction here?
It's at some point you realize it's more than a collection. It's an obsession, really. And my wife said to me one time, I'm so glad you're not a drug addict, although it'd be cheaper if you were a drug addict.
Wow.
I know.
That's a nice sentiment.
Isn't that a nice thought? Yeah. It's really funny. I don't buy things every week, but I've been on a buying spree lately. I've been buying, I'll show you a couple. I've been buying Hot Wheels cars, mint in the package, from the first years of Hot Wheels. So this would be like, they started in 1968 or 1969, and I'm getting all the ones that I had as a kid, but I'm getting them, mint in the package. And they're expensive. I mean, they used to be 88 cents each when I first started buying them. And now some of them go up into the $3,000-$4,000 range, which is quite a markup.
Yes, it is. You just bought those?
I got these yesterday. I won an auction a few weeks ago. I picked up 5 more cars. So it's really funny. What they do to me is they make me a kid again. I remember them so fondly from my own childhood. So to just see them every day is just an amazing thing, to have them just the way they looked back in the late 1960s or early 70s. And that's how it is with almost everything I have. They all trigger happy memories of when I was younger.
And will you reveal how much you paid for those, or is that none of our business?
The ones I just showed you average between $400 and $500 each. But there was an auction house in Washington that was selling a guy's whole collection. He had 100 and something cars. And like I said, some of them went for $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 each, which is more than I wanted to pay for them, especially when they were $1. They were under $1, when they first came out. But let me show you something, Garrett. This is really interesting to me. Here's one. Now, I'm going to show you the price tag because some of the original price tags are on it. This is the Police Cruisers. Came out in 1970. So I want to make sure I get the prices right from this. It originally sold for 79 cents, but it was on sale for 77 cents.
Okay, and you
get
paid
2 cents
$400 for it.
Right.
Great. Wait, did your wife walk in, pick up that Hot Wheel, and hold it next to a bag of cocaine and say, all right, it's time to pick one? And she started dangling the cocaine bag. This is better. This is better.
Go with this one. What's wrong with you?
One? Don't let me influence you at all, but my God, that's amazing.
My wife walked in one time. This is several years ago. There's this figure from Ideal Toys that came out in the mid-1960s, 1967, called Captain Action. And I had all the uniforms, but I didn't have the figures to put the uniforms on. So one day I found a guy that was selling a dozen of the figures, not the uniforms, but the figures. And I bought all 12 of them. And then I brought it home and I was putting all the outfits on the figures. And she walked in and she saw me sitting on the floor with a dozen naked figures and clothes all over. And she just said, we'll never speak of this. You and I will never, ever speak of this.
Okay, which leads me to this question. When you met before she was your wife, woman, how do you approach your collection? And what is that conversation like? Or do you not say anything and just bring her over to your apartment and she walks in and goes, you know what? It's getting late.
I told her that I had a problem. And she said, what sort of a problem? And I said,
I like to take naked men dolls and dress them.
I said, I collect something that's a little bit offbeat. And she squinted and she goes, what is it? And I told her and she goes, well, that's not so bad. And I go, when you see it, you may decide otherwise. And she was not entranced by it, but she thought it was adorable. And then I told her how much I had. She goes, how many of these do you have? And at that point, I had about half of what I have now. And she goes, boy, that's a lot. And then we didn't have room to display it. I just kept it in boxes. And then when we finally bought an apartment, I started displaying it a little bit more. And she goes, I think we've had enough. I think we've hit our limit, don't you think? But there is no limit because they keep making more stuff.
Great. And I classify you and Gregg as you're a display in the house guy, where he's more of it's in the storage locker guy. When do the plexiglass cases start? When does that moment come? It's a square footage situation. You're devoting, at least in your house, at least one room to your stuff.
Yeah. I have 2 full rooms that are like this. That's just all glass cases. And then I have more than twice that in storage. And that's where the weirdness of this all comes in, is I know I'll never have room to display it all. So why do I keep acquiring more of it? Because I know people won't see it. You know, that it doesn't make sense to me, and I'm the one buying it.
Okay, that leads me to this question.
Yes.
Do you walk into these rooms every day and look around and go, these things satisfy me still? Or are there days when you never go in the room?
Every day.
Every day.
This is the room that I'm in now. We call the office, although whenever I call it the office, my family laughs. They laugh out loud at the phrase "the office." So I'm in here every day, and I'm working on scripts. Or when I was doing the radio show, I'm getting stuff ready for the show, and then I'll just look over and I'll see something, and I'll go, "Wow, I forgot I had that. That's so cool!" And I'll look at it, and it does. It brings me incredible amounts of joy every day.
As your wife sobs in the other room. Okay. When you're let's run the vid that you gave us. And I want to talk about some of the things here in the cases. Look at this. When you put one of those figures in and it tips, and could it be a domino thing where they all start tipping over? I would get shaky because I don't want to tip. Look at this. Oh my God.
Yeah. That happens. There are times where one thing knocks over another thing, but I've learned some tricks. I've learned to put clay on the bottom, on the feet of some of the figures to keep them steady. So I haven't had too many really bad accidents, but yeah, what you're seeing is just a small portion of it all.
Okay. Have you ever, according to David, bought something that you already had, you didn't remember? Do you have this stuff cataloged?
I've got an amazing inventory list in my head. Say that again, Garrett?
Do you have this catalog? Do you have it all in some kind of sequence or whatever on computer?
When I started buying insurance for it about 15 years ago, and they demand kind of a constant inventory of what's going on. So my inventory sheet, I wish I could show it to you. It's like 35 pages. It's like a book of everything I have, just the valuable stuff I have. The other stuff I don't put on it.
Oh my God. And is there a theme? Is there something that you gravitate towards more than other things? Or is it whatever piece strikes your fancy?
It's all stuff. It fits into 2 categories. Stuff I had as a kid and wanted to see it again, or stuff I was never fortunate enough to have as a kid that I went, one day I'll save up and I'll get that. So those are the 2 things, really.
It's funny, Bill, because of your collection. This is why you got that show at MeTV.
Yeah.
You were on, they have a collectible show, and it's going to be on again Sunday, right?
Right.
They have another episode. Call.
Right.
And you were on that, and then the people at MeTV saw you and said, hey, come in. We're thinking of this show, and we want you to audition.
They came in. other collectors had told them about me. So I got a call from Mike, the showrunner, and he said, "Is there a day that we can come by and just see it, and we'll decide. We'll know within a few days or weeks if it's right for the show." And he walked into the room and he goes, "You're booked." It was just that quickly. And I hit it off with them. They were really fun and nice people. And then when the show that I'm doing, Tune In With Me, started, they remembered me. They were kind enough to remember me, and they called and they said, "We've got something that's up your alley. Could you come in and audition for us?" And yeah, it led to getting this show. So it paid off nicely.
Do you commiserate with other collectors, or do you look at someone and go, "They're hacks, I'm better than them"? How's that world, Bill?
It's an interesting world. You know, there are people that are way more hardcore than I am. I don't like, it's really funny. It doesn't define me. It's such a bit of my hobby, you know, and I love to do it, but it's not the only thing I ever talk about. But there are some collectors where that's their whole life, is hunting down their next piece. And I give it to them. I love that they're that passionate about it. It's just, for me, it's just so much fun. You know, I love acquiring things that I've been looking for years. I've got some pieces that I hunted down. It took 15 or 20 years to get. And then when you get them, you go, "This is good. It finally paid off."
Wow. Okay. And before the internet, how did you do this?
Toy conventions. There'd be St. Charles does a toy convention 2 or 3 times a year that's gigantic. There's a couple in Indiana. There's one in Cincinnati. So I would do my best to make it to those shows.
You have kids?
I do.
Yes.
And yes,
okay.
Garry, they're still in their original package.
The kids are.
Yeah.
Good. And in a case.
Yeah. There's no dust on them.
Oh, there are my kids next to Captain Kirk and a cowboy.
My daughters are 25 years old. I've got twin daughters, Kylie and Reese, and they're amused by it. They're not in love with it. And I've said to them at some point when I'm not here anymore, "Do you want?" And by the time I get to the word "want," they both do this.
Wow.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, that generation, they say they don't want things, they want experiences.
Right.
Okay. The experience is going to be, after you're gone, them dismembering all of these cases and selling. That's going to be an experience.
But you know what's funny is when they bring, like, over the years, they've brought boyfriends home and they see the collection. Like the guy that my daughter Kylie is dating right now is also a toy collector, coincidentally, but not to this extent. And I couldn't get him out of this room. He came in here and he's like, "I can't believe what I'm seeing," you know? So it's always fun to see their reaction to it.
Was it Scott who said, do you think they come alive like Toy Story at any point when you're sleeping? Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I understand what plastic is. I know that doesn't happen too often.
To that point, Bill, that movie Magic, which was about a ventriloquist dummy.
Sure.
I go to see that when it came out, and I have a Jerry Mahoney dummy, and I go to see it, and a few days after I saw the movie, I lied down on the couch in the middle of the afternoon, and this was during the winter, so it was dark by 5 o'clock. And when I woke up, it was dark and no lights on in the house because it was mid-afternoon when I lied down. And I had this feeling that my dummy had gotten off the shelf. It was next to me. Do you get any of these vibes from all these things around you? No? You're good?
I do not. But I don't. But when my daughters were little, I've got one case that has a lot of Munster memorabilia. And they used to say to me, "Put that up higher. We don't want to see that. We can't look at it," because it was giving them nightmares. So I obliged them and I moved it higher so they couldn't see it.
When your daughters brought boys over for the first time, were they not allowed in these rooms? Were they told about the rooms? Did your daughters not want you to say anything about the rooms? How does that dynamic work?
No, it's really weird. There's like a sense of pride in both of them. They like to talk about it. They don't like to spend much time in here, you know, and I get that. But no, they're not embarrassed by it. They just think it's quirky. They're right. It's quirky. There's no question about it, you know?
Yes. Yes, it is. Wow. It's fascinating. I really get a kick out of this. I wouldn't have the patience to put all those things in order. Do you dust those cases in there, or is there an inch of dust in there?
Everything's on a dust rotation. And
oh my God.
the stuff that's in the cases, you don't have to dust as often, but I'll show you what I did today. I think you'll appreciate this. You remember the Batman series, of course, from the 60s, right?
Yeah.
All right. So look at this. This is a miniature Batcave with all the lights and everything working.
Oh my God.
And this is a tough dust. I did this one earlier today, but that one takes some time.
Okay, Bill, let me just get inside your head for a second. So you decide today I dust the Batman case, and you're holding the little Joker figurine and dusting his crotchal area. Anything in your head that goes, what has happened to me? Where did I go down this road? Why did I go down this road? Anything?
Oh, no, Gary, why would you ask that?
Oh my God. Listen, I'm not saying that I'm really absent of any of this nonsense. My whole world is kind of surrounded by a lot of nonsense too. But I don't think people understand us to a certain point, but that's fine. It hurts no one. That's my go-to line. It hurts no one. I'm fine. Whatever I do, for the most part, is benign, I think. So
I agree 100%. And what happens is, as much joy as it brings me when there's people in here, before pre-COVID, so we're going back a couple of years now, whenever we'd have people over, they'd always come up and they look at it and you go, boy, I had that when I was a kid, or my next door neighbor had that and I wanted it so badly. And it's just so much fun. I always look at this as a time machine because it really does. It brings you back 30 or 40 or 50 years.
Are there 5 or 10 pieces that are your absolute favorites?
Yeah, well, not pieces specifically, but there's certain lines that I really like. There's certain toy lines that I love. I don't remember which ones I showed you last time, but when I was a very little kid, Mark's made these Disneykins. I'll show you some of them here. So those were out in the early 1960s, and they're rare on their own. But then if you've got them in the boxes like I've got, or the gift packs where they're scenes from movies, there's a British display that's very, very rare. So yeah, those are my favorites. There's Mego superheroes. These are from the 70s. Mego made both DC and Marvel. They made them at the same time. Captain Action that I was talking about earlier. There's some up there in the box.
Wow.
And I think I showed you this last time, but it bears a quick repeat. This is the piece that's my holy grail. This is the Johnny West store display. This is from 1971. I had a lot of the figures separate, but I didn't have the big store display. And I tried to get that for over 20 years, and I finally got it. And like you said earlier, do I look at it every day? Yeah, I'm in here every day, and I can't believe what I've pulled off. It is like a museum.
I don't want to sound ghoulish, but if you should pass before your wife, she should put you in a case next to all this stuff. It would be a beautiful tribute. And people could come in. There are the figures. There he is.
Yeah.
Next to Johnny West. I think you'd be happy to eternally be preserved that way.
I'm going to make you executor of my will. That's it.
My God.
Settled.
Listen, Bill, you got to stand by because we're going to go to Gregg Potter here. And Gregg has a special guest that he is going to, I think, introduce us to. Gregg Potter is a collector too. Gregg, he's the drummer for the Buddy Rich Band. Hello, Gregg.
Hello.
Is your special guest here yet?
I saw on like the a little messaging thing here. It said that he was waiting in the green room or something. I don't know exactly
there,
how
Alan?
green.
Yes, he's in the green room. Shall we bring him on?
Let's bring him on.
There you go.
Hey,
there you
go.
He
is. It's Butch Patrick, aka Eddie Munster. Hey, Butch.
There you go.
Good to see you.
Hey,
Butch.
Hey.
Have you been watching anything here, or you just get here?
Yeah, I've been watching some stuff. I saw you walking around looking at all kinds of Western collectibles and stuff. But when I found out Gregg was going to be on, Gregg's quite a collector. He's always looking for stuff that falls off a truck. So I told him I might have found some goodies for him.
You're in Milwaukee for what event here?
What was that?
What are you doing? You're in Milwaukee, right?
Oh, Milwaukee. It's snowing up here. I'm doing a Motor Mania car show, bike show. I got my my Eddie chopper up here. So here, I'll walk out.
Yeah, let's see if you can. Show us, please.
I'll show it to you. Sure. Hold on. So anyway, Greg, you looking for any more hot stuff, or is this Kathy hot enough for you?
It's whatever Kathy could afford. I mean, come on. Well, no, I know, because you said you'll give me the Addams Family stuff for free. I got to pay for the Munster stuff, right? Oh, wow, look at that.
Is that it right there?
Yeah, nice.
Wow. So that's the sickle that you put together in concert with your Munster run.
And of course, for the kids that have never seen the Munsters, we're playing it on a big screen TV.
Who hasn't seen the Munsters? It should be a legal thing where you have to see the Munsters.
Mandatory viewing.
Butch, let me ask you.
Yeah.
You were on for it was only 2 seasons. It's hard to believe. We hear about the Munsters all the time, all these years later. It was only 2 seasons, but they were doing 35 episodes a season back then.
Yeah, we did 39 the first and 31 the second because of Fred's health suffered a little bit. But yeah, shows were doing 39 shows a year. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing in today's world where most series are, if they're doing a lot of work, 22 episodes, mostly 15, and on cable, maybe 10, right?
Yeah. That people often think we were a 5-year show because of that. Absolutely.
And you were, what, 16 when it ended?
12.
You were 12 when it ended. Okay. Yeah. So the show ends, and what is if you can remember, what's your mindset at that point, Butch, where it's over, I want to continue acting? Okay, before you say that, how did you get to the Munster show? What was your trajectory?
Well, I had worked a lot prior to that, so I was actually living in the Midwest with my grandmother. My stepdad was a pro ball player for the Angels, and they traded him to the Washington Senators, so the whole family went east, and I went as far as Illinois, and they had cast another kid in the Munsters, and then the networks looked at the pilot and said, we want to change the mom and the kid, and I had just completed a year of the Real McCoys, so my agent convinced them to fly me to LA for a screen test. It was the only time that I didn't have to read. I just had to directly go in and get in front of the camera with Yvonne DiCarlo, and they hired us both.
And you're then, 11 years old?
Yeah, 11 years old. Just turned 11, yeah.
And what's that like going to Universal Studios and being Eddie Munster? How did you have the wherewithal to know what that was all about at 11?
The show, I'm sorry, having a little trouble hearing you. I apologize. But no, doing it was good. It was a fun show, easy show. Love the makeup, love the special effects, and I got lucky. We got together with a very good cast.
And the shows of today, they are where they're paying more residuals along the rerun route, where that didn't happen back in your day.
No, that was pre-74. They changed the law for the standard contract, but it wasn't retroactive for kids or anybody else for that matter.
What are your thoughts when you see the Munsters running now 50 years later, and you're not making a dime out of it, but there's commerce to be made by these shows that you go to, right?
You can't. It's like I made more money than my stepdad who played pro ball. It was just a different world and different times, and I'm lucky enough to be on a show that is still on the air, and I make a pretty good go of it, running around the country doing appearances. I also just hooked up with a theme park where I'm going to be their special events coordinator, special stuff for not only cars and musical acts. I'm going to bring Greg and Kathy for the big band resurrection of the Indiana Beach Ballroom. And there's things to do if you look for it. And because the Munsters falls into so many different categories, I found a lot of ways to keep busy. And luckily for me, the show is still very popular with Rob Zombie's actually doing the remake right now. It'll be coming out I believe in October. So it's still alive and well.
When you were done with it at 13, what was your next step? Did you go to high school then? What happened?
I went back into junior high school, 7th grade, continued working till I was 21. Was never a career actor. Just wanted to be a funny car, owner, driver. And that never materialized. And then I just went about my business and continued living the normal life until Eddie and the Munsters in 82 with MeTV came on the air. And then a lot of conventions and Comic-Cons and things starting up again. So when that happened, the Munsters was always a desirable promoter's logo and name, and people from the show were always very popular to sell tickets. So we figured out a way to do a lot of Comic-Cons and personal appearances.
And did you remain friends with any of the cast members? I think I read, if it's all true, on Wikipedia that you reconnected years later, maybe not right after it ended, but then years later, you and Yvonne DiCarlo and Fred Gwynn had some relationship?
Yeah, I met with Fred and Al. They were doing the Munsters Revenge in 1979 or 1980, I think it was. We reconnected with them, and then that led to Pat Priest and me and Al. And then later on, I was on. Vicki Lawrence wanted me to be a surprise guest for Yvonne DiCarlo, and then I reconnected with her as well.
Wow! To me, to have a TV show when you're a kid, that's the best. And I don't mean this as anything but positive, as the best home movie of you as a kid. When you see it and you see yourself, what's that reaction?
It's like really good home movies at Halloween.
At Halloween, yeah. And you're frozen in time, so you have that. And there I am at 11 years old, 12 years old. That's amazing. What a great show.
Pretty much.
Yeah, what a great show. How long are you in Milwaukee?
It was a good memory. So, I kind of resonated. I'm very blessed to be able to interact with people who brought me into their living room, grew up as a extended member of the family in a good way. They got fond memories, and a little bit of interaction with these people makes them very happy, which gives positive vibes across the table each way. So it's kind of like, touring with an old 60s act, a musical act, doing the same old stuff, but it still makes you feel good.
Good, because you hear these stories about how these.
Just a quick question, Garry.
Bill Leff.
I cannot really hear you guys, and I'm at a convention. I'm going to have to go back to my table. I hate to cut it short, but I'm going to have to.
One question, Bill. Can Bill ask one question?
Excuse me.
Bill wants to ask one question.
Yes.
Quick question, Butch. I'm reading a book right now called The Boys that's written by Ron Howard and his brother Clint Howard about growing up as young actors in Hollywood. And they say that there was a lot of resentment from classmates and friends. Did you feel that a little bit, that as successful as you were doing the Munsters, there was a little bit of jealousy with classmates?
What happens is that, like any kids, there's curiosity, jealousy, just being a youth and causing trouble to just to be busting your chops. And when I went back into junior high school, I had a real issue for a while. They actually threw me out of school because I was causing a disturbance by too many kids not going back to class and hanging around and making your life miserable. But it gives you thick skin. You learn to survive it. If they don't get a rise out of you, one day there might be 50, the next day there might be 30, and pretty soon there's only one or two, and you learn to live with it. And that's pretty much the deal.
How long are you in Milwaukee at this show?
I'll be here till Monday morning.
All right. Thanks, Butch. Appreciate
My
the
pleasure.
time.
Hey, Greg.
Thank you, buddy. I'll talk to you in a minute.
Tell Kathy hi. By the way, I'll send that stuff, but I'm not going to put my name on it because it's pretty warm.
Okie doke.
Hey, that's code.
Hey, that's code.
Where is that
Just
convention,
saying.
Greg? Do you know where in Milwaukee it is?
Yeah, he said it's at the Washington County Fairgrounds.
Okay. If you're in that area and want to go see Butch.
We have someone here from Wisconsin, right? They
Ryan's going to do his Wisconsin report, and maybe he knows
okay, well then
the area.
We'll have to. But he hasn't sent me all the information on. Oh, there you go. So it's somewhere around there. Near Milwaukee.
Follow that arrow.
Follow that arrow exactly right into Kenosha.
So you were watching Bill's stuff there, Greg, and your thoughts?
My thoughts are his approach to collecting. I find it interesting that we're both similar in that you're not only trying to relive your childhood, but because you come from the humble beginnings, which you all speak of, me included, you go on this search for all the things you couldn't have when you were the kid. Take, for instance, so I do find that interesting that he and I both basically went at this for the similar reasons. First of all, it's like the stuff we like. But then it was second, or you're trying to relive what it was like when you get that Hot Wheels car from and when you were little, those cars looked like they were this big. Oh man, it's really that, whatever. And then also things you couldn't have. I mean, because I didn't come from the Kathy Rich beginnings, where when she told her dad I wanted a car, a new one showed up. You know, like when she was 16, she got that new car. I came from you got the hand-me-down car, the clothes. Thank you, guess who? I got that hand-me-down world.
Yeah,
whatever.
Gregg is married to Buddy Rich's daughter, for those who don't know. So that's Kathy Rich.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying when we talk about this type of collecting, though, I found that interesting with Bill that we both went at it the same way. What I find interesting about his collection is he takes the whole collection, like when I saw his monster things, which I'm interested in. I'm focused on the Creature from the Black Lagoon. So I'll touch every aspect of creature in different settings. Whereas I see Bill, he takes the whole Universal monster spectrum and nails it, which is very impressive. I'm saying my collection really doesn't do that, where I need everything in the creature genre, Creature from the Black Lagoon, but not necessarily, I need the Frankenstein, the Wolfman. So that I find interesting in that he really has everything. Whereas when I look at my collection, it's fine-tuned on, as we see, if you show when they do roll the clip, you'll see it's basically.
We're going to roll it now. Slow it. Can you slow it down, Alan? Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying you'll see where.
We can't slow it, but we can play it and stop it as you want.
Oh, well, okay. I mean, you'll see we jump. So there's like a whole. Also, my displaying again. I've got The Office. I mean, the house has things, but I've got The Office, so there's not really much. I'm like the Field Museum, where they tell you we've got more stuff in storage than we have on display.
Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at. So, see, going through all this creature stuff. Well, see, you got to stop it here because I'm not explaining. See, my pieces are all. There's juice to a lot of them. It's not just, I bought that creature thing. I mean, like take, for instance, here, what you're stopped on here. This is a plaster cast of the actual. I don't know how deep into the Creature from the Black Lagoon films you are, but there's a land creature and a water creature. So the land creature was played by a 6'5" Samoan, Ben Chapman. And then there's the one that you see swimming around, chasing around the gal. I know I should know all these names, but I'm a little nervous now because I'm flustered because it looks like you had Butch Patrick on the run. Great.
What do you mean?
I'm not getting any residuals. Are you and the guy from the Brady Bunch living together in a?
No. No. That's a legit question. What are you doing here? You're turning on me?
Well, I'm not turning on you. I'm a little flustered.
No, I think it's fascinating because I wonder how they view the sitcoms of today, where these people get residuals because they're now built in, where they weren't when he was doing it.
How about when
these things are running day in and day out, and he's sitting there going, I don't get a penny because we weren't in that contract.
And the kid from 2.5 Men gets what, 2.5 million an episode? I mean, it's an
amazing that's what I mean. But here's the beauty of Butch. He's looks to me where he just went with the transition, and he's fine. Where you hear, as Bill was saying, some of these people just flame out and they can't get anything else, or they don't want to do anything else, and it's a rocky road afterwards, especially when you're 13 when it ends.
Well, that's interesting.
So did I make myself clear?
Yes, you did, and I'm working with you. I'm not turning on anyone.
All right.
I am not to mention I'm a little, that collection of Mr. Leff's is you don't slough that off.
This is ultra.
I mean I'm going to try I'll impress you here with because I'm catching up.
Okay, let's roll some tape. Okay, Jaws.
I'm not done with that creature mask. Are you kidding me? It's autographed by Rico Browning, but I'm going to show you that's the crux of it. That's the rub here. That's a plaster cast of the land mask worn by Ben Chapman. It's autographed by Rico Browning, who actually was the underwater creature. Do you see what I mean? This is a conundrum. This is a problem. Right. But I never got to Ben Chapman, and he's dead. So I couldn't get him to sign it. But I got Rico Browning, but that's an actual plaster cast of the actual mask. Because that's another thing you find in these collections. How much of this stuff is real and how much of it lasts? See right there, that's the actual plaster cast of the mask. Of course, we go back in the, I don't know if we saw it already. I have an actual rubber mask that I can wear around in our pool. When I'm out in California, I wear the whole Creaster costume. Wait, go back.
Okay.
Now look at this. Look at the. Wait.
Back up.
There
What
you
was
go.
that?
See, there's an actual rubber replica now of that plaster replica. That's a replica of the original replica.
Let me ask you something. Did I hear? I think I heard something here. You wear an entire Black Lagoon costume in a pool in Los Angeles.
Oh, yes. That's one of my. I didn't send pictures of that. Could I could send you a picture. I could send the producer a picture. But yeah, so I have the costume because that. Kathy won't let me really do it in, like, if we're at the Beverly Hills Hotel, like, she won't let me do it at hotels because you can get thrown out for stuff like that. But I mean, that's, again, these are things that as a kid, you would say that would be amazing if some guy walked out with a real Creature from the Black Lagoon costume. Well, now I'm just like an older version of me, but I want to do that.
Okay. I think the next show I do on this should be the wives of you two. Because that seems interesting to see what their interpretation is of all this. Honey, can I wear the Black Lagoon costume out to the pool?
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. That's how, like, but yeah, so I have a whole costume, and now that mask that's like authentic. You know, I mean, that's in, an actual, full head mask. I don't know.
We have more stuff. I saw an Elvis band or something. Let's go to that, Alan. Let's see the other stuff.
Well, here,
the Jaws.
Well, here's my Jaws stuff. Okay, like here, there's there's the patch from Brody's police shirt. Again, replicas. They tell you it came from someone's costume, but I wasn't standing there when I tore it off. But so what? I have it. This Oh man, this thing goes by fast.
Are those mints?
Yeah. Is that crazy or what? It's a little. I just got these in Burbank when I was out there doing that Hollywood Christmas show, television show. They're little candy mints shaped like shark teeth. Isn't that pretty? Look at the tin cover. Says what? We're going to need a bigger
tin.
Oh, the shark will swallow you whole. Remember that? The shark will swallow you, not like fishing for bluegills. Or
Let me ask you, how much would you pay for an Amity Police patch? How much does that go for?
It matters where it comes from. If you're able to get documentation that it really got torn off one of Roy Scheider's shirts, you're going to pay a couple $100. But if you've got some guy that, knows you like this stuff and you get him into the, whatever club I'm playing or some joint I'm playing, and he goes, Potter, I'll give you this patch, stuff like that works out. There's this guy in, the guy right in Aurora, Chris, I think he writes you every once. He watches the show. He knew I was going to that rock camp to play with Joe Perry. And every time I'm a counselor at this rock and roll fantasy camp, I wear Boy Scout uniforms because I'm at camp, So this guy, look at this thing he set me up with. Like the little kerchiefs you wear, I mean, he set me up with a whole Boy Scout uniform from from when he was a kid or whatever. But this is like the kerchief thing. Look at how cool this is.
That is
so
cool.
Chris Christoffel, Scott Christoffel. He's gonna kill me.
I think
whatever.
It's
Scott Christoffel, yeah. But he's got this shop right in Aurora.
He's
whatever.
got a lot of stuff, right?
But I'm saying, so you either get that, but now if you went into the store and bought something like this, a real 1964, T-Rex Boy Scout, although it looks like he made this one custom. Either way,
here's the image I have now. You're dressing up like a Boy Scout, and Bill is dressing male dolls.
Yes.
And okay, I've got the image now. Let's continue.
You've got the image where actually this is actually a mental illness. So
it hurts no one. Again, it hurts no one. It hurts no one. Better than doing drugs or drinking.
Okay, but what am I going to do? Okay, am I going to? Okay, now look at this great white shark head that I have mounted. Look at that with the hand and the scuba tank. Okay, so so I have my collection takes different because I am in a limited show. Yeah, nothing like the toys from 1964, an actual working guillotine. Look at the Aurora Model Company, 1964, makes a Madame Tussauds Chamber of Horrors guillotine model where your child can not only build this thing, but then it cuts off the little head. I mean, look at that. Those are the kind of toys. And then you wonder, oh God. Okay, now this is like when you ask about your That's a replica because the real Mrs. Bates head sits in a Alfred Hitchcock museum in Paris, France. But that's Norman Bates's mother's head. You know, you've seen the film Psycho and okay, now here is look at this now. This is a model that I made of Mrs. Bates. And I don't know if look at this. I had a whole display set for you guys, but the sound is off, but it spins just like, you know, like in the movie where you didn't know, remember, like Vera Miles comes downstairs and like taps on her shoulder and goes, "Oh, Mrs. Bates." And she thinks like a real woman's going to turn around. It's a real woman, but she's friggin' mummified.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but during the pandemic, okay, now here, check out this Psycho house model that I built. Keep watching. Here's your payoff. Look at that. The lighted room, just like in the movie with the little Mrs. Bates sitting. So this mental illness not only goes with collecting. Okay, but wait, stop.
Wait a minute. There. Did you make that out of a kit or
a model?
Scratch?
Yeah, back up. Yeah, back up. It's a model kit. But I added a light. Look at the light goes on and it looks just like in the film. I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, Kathy's out in the living room watching, you know, it's the pandemic, binge watching Mad Men or something. And I'm walking out there with like the little painted Mrs. Bates. She's like, "We're only 2 months into this pandemic, dude. What are you doing? You know,
what did I get myself into?"
Exactly. She's like, the whole Buddy Rich thing was cute in the beginning, but now you're wearing his robes around the house trying to talk like, okay, but here, check this out. Nothing says Psycho. Like, imagine the people at this Muscle Machines toy company going, "You know what? We need to make a monster truck with Psycho on it." I mean, what is Psycho? Norman Bates, man dressing like his mother, blah, blah. Let's make a monster truck on it.
Right. What's the tie-in? What they did.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm saying my collection has a lot of like, you could see it's broken into, and that, okay, now this, okay,
what's
stop
this?
right there. Okay. I don't know if you remember long ago, you and I were friends in a past entertainment life. And we had done a television show together. And it was around probably 1981 to you had done a thing, Greetings from Graceland.
We went to Memphis, yes.
You went, right. And we were on the whole scene on an Elvis thing. So we were doing one of the television shows and I had just gotten the Elvis Presley tour van. So no, this isn't from the 60s. This would be from 82, but we used this on one of the shows and I went to the warehouse and I saw it. So then I thought of you, but you know, if you want to look at it, just look at what would you be thinking?
I'm thinking that he never toured in a van that looked like that.
But what kind of child wants to like check this? It's in the warehouse. You can see one of my practice drum sets is there. But look at, let's put the Elvis doll and the Barbie in the back of this thing. I mean, what's a kid going to get out of this?
Were there pills in those cases on the side there? Is that what that was all about? The Elvis pills?
That's what I'm saying. What are you getting out of this? There, let me open the door. And so Elvis goes in through the side, and then what? Dr. Nick is driving. I mean, what do you get out of this?
That's an odd piece.
Yeah, but I thought I'd bring it back from that one show. All right. And then here's like part of a collection too. Again, touching things like, here's an original 1964 Revell Ringo model with the box. My dad painted it. But again, like going back to how Bill says, you look at it and it takes you think back to that. And then my fascination with drag racing. And so each of these things touches, that's Ohio George Montgomery, his 33 Willys coupe. These things are, and then there's a replica sign from when Kathy and I were in London. We went to Abbey Road because we were mixing that Buddy Rich, the new album that came out 2 years, whatever. We went to Abbey Road and I was able to get a replica of the actual Studio 3 where the Beatles. Okay, now here you go into the Buddy room, one of the rooms in the house, the guest room. At least you get some real Buddy artifacts. There's a picture of Buddy and Kathy's mom, Marie, at the LA Forum, I believe. LA Forum or Universal when he's playing with Frank Sinatra. So that's really the only, like when we would go to Palm Springs to Kathy's mom's house, that's like the only thing that you knew. Okay, here's a real Buddy Rich snare drum given to him by the big band singer Anita O'Day. But I mean, there's at least people always ask, like, do you have one of Buddy's drums? Well, Kathy has it. and now it's in the house. But there's like
in
a
the
real
collection.
Buddy Rich snare drum, so you could like rub your hand on it, and they're all real stuff. So you could like try to get the DNA off of it.
Okay.
And then here is, you see this cymbal necklace again. I know you asked Bill, like, what are some of the pieces in your collection that are like
primo?
Primo. The plaster creature head. This necklace. This was really okay. Like, see this photo here. There's Armand Zildjian. That's the man. Zildjian Cymbals, very same famous cymbal company that Buddy was with. That's Buddy wearing the necklace. There's Armand Zildjian. I got the necklace. I got the necklace. Buddy gave it to the man that ran the Buddy Rich fan club from 1966 until Buddy passed in 87. He gave it to him. I played in New York with the band, and the man had this necklace on, and I said, hey, could I try that on and take a picture with it? Because I knew what this necklace was. It was a one of a kind given to Buddy. I mean, they made other necklaces, but that's Buddy's. So the guy, took a picture with it. I went to take it off to hand it back to him. He stops me and he says, you keep it, it's yours. And to me, I just think, that, and in the box, the guy, I'll send you the box, whatever. But that other photograph that you saw, like, go back to that picture if you could, because it's pretty cool here. So that's Armand Zildjian. Here I am with the drummer from Deep Purple, rock drumming icon, Ian Pace. He was our guest in London. We recreated the picture of Buddy and Armand, but there I am in the dressing room of Ronnie Scott's in London with the necklace on, with the drummer from Deep Purple. So that's, to me, I think that's,
wow.
That's, wow. Yeah, to get a drumming icon like that to act as ridiculous as you do when Kathy, and then here, this is just a collection of, these are drum keys that you could actually purchase now. They're out right now. They make actual drum tuning keys with Buddy Rich and Gregg Potter. And then here are some, in the back there is a replica Buddy Rich drum set. A toy company is, they sent us the prototype. Kathy, has to okay anything with Buddy Rich. This guy, Lego, someone made that for me, a crazed Gregg Potter fan. They made little toys of me. So that's kind of cool.
Okay.
Wow. I mean, so not only do you have your other toys, but someone took time to make a little.
So do you go in these rooms every day like Bill and look at that and say,
yeah,
I'm really enjoying all this?
Like I said, Bill and I are a lot that Bill said. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, yes. But collectible wise, you see here this Buddy Rich poster, the 25th annual memorial concert. So it was from April 2nd, 2012. But if you pull out a little bit, you'll see some the poster's collectible because I'm on it. But look at this. You see this sign here? Look at that. Go back to no, not that one. Go back to that right there. That's the actual plaque that was on Buddy's London Palladium dressing room when he played for the command performance for the Queen. Kathy had that in her collection when we went to London and played in 2012. We took it with us, and now we have it in the house. But I'm saying something like that. Collectible wise, yeah, it just looks like a little sign, but that sat on his dressing room door when he played there. And then how many years later, I got to play the same place where
let me bring Bill back on. And okay, so here you go. You're not alone, Bill.
No.
Safety in numbers. But this is a little more reserved than yours. He doesn't keep all of his stuff in the house. A lot of it is in storage.
He's smarter than I am.
Well, it's just yeah. I mean, like as we talked earlier about my, I still have my parents. So my mother's house basically looks as it did in 1976 or so. So maybe to tie in the whole Norman Bates Psycho thing, we'll maybe do a show from my mother's house. And then you'll see more of this stuff. But then the warehouse has even more. But yeah, Bill's collection.
How many pieces do you have, Greg? You think? Estimate?
Nah, I mean, that I got a little nervous when Bill was talking about a notebook full of things. See, I haven't gone I haven't really.
No inventory?
Well, similar to Bill in that you have a mental, like if someone shows you a toy, like basically when Bill showed me all those monsters, I knew which creature I had, but I didn't. I'm like, no, I don't have that Frankenstein. I don't have, you know everything you have. It's odd. It's odd. Or not likely that you buy the same thing over again, because each time you bought this, like the serial killer, does he go back and kill that same woman? Not really. He knows he wants the similar type, but he remembers each time, oh, I killed her on the bridge and I saved her panties.
But the strangest part is, even when you know you're out of space, because I ran out of space 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It doesn't change your compulsion. No. When you see something you want, you go, well, I have to get it, but you don't know where, there's no place to put it, but it doesn't matter.
No. And you sickly, is that a word? You get jealous of the other guy.
Yeah.
I mean, there were parts of me when they're showing all your things. I'm like, he better not have any more monster stuff. He better not have a creature. Because then I could justify it in my brain. Yeah. I could justify, well, he doesn't have a Mrs. Bates head. So
that's what I was thinking. These
Norman
collectors, they do that whole, well, he's a hack. I don't buy into his shit.
I'm not saying he's a hack. I'm jealous if he's
got
I'm just
something saying, when you look at other collectors and go, he's an amateur.
Greg, do you have this?
Oh, that's a creature Soki. That would be at my mom's house. But yes, now do you have the full collection? The Wolfman. See, that's very impressive. Now to me, I would probably buy the creature and stop if I were, in my collection. But I have that again. A lot of this too comes out of my dad was crazy in that my brother and I would get, say, items for a gift. He would put it away and say, that's a collector's item. So but then again, that's why, when I played with Paul Stanley from Kiss and I wore a t-shirt from 1976 and showed up on stage, he looks at me and goes, is that thing original? Because it was back during the Kiss Destroyer tour. They had these hologram t-shirts. It was basically prism tape that said, whatever, these shirts, they don't last, but my crazy mom and dad, because my mom washed the shirt perfectly. This shirt lasted 50 years. So I still have this real Kiss shirt from 1976, and it impressed Paul Stanley.
Oh,
that's
nice.
Pretty cool. And then same with, so then I didn't get to play with Gene. I got to play with Paul, but I showed the shirt to Gene and he says, hey, is that original? I'm like, yeah, I got it in Anaheim in 76. And man, what did you do? Keep it in a case? No, my mom had that damn thing folded in a drawer that, I only wore it on special occasions, go to see Kiss on television.
As Bill's wife said, it could be worse. Yes. It could be on meth. This is harmless. And right. Greg, you said, I think a few months ago when you were on, that there was going to be a Buddy Rich, some kind of cocktail kit for sale. Is that coming up?
Did I show you guys that, or did I show you what the cocktail kit looks like?
Is it coming? Is it out?
No. It's, again, in the prototype stage, and then due to this whole COVID thing, because it is coming from a company in England, in London. So everything takes time. But did I show you guys the canister that it came in?
I think so. I think.
Okay, because already since I showed you that, they've now changed it. They want it to look like that Oneida O'Day snare drum. So instead of being a tube long ways, it's going to be a round, like a hat box.
Okay.
But yeah, it's still being made. And
all right. Well, let me know, and I'll throw it on the.
I will keep you guys.
Greg, Bill, this was fascinating on so many levels. Thank you.
Okay.
Cheers. I know, Bill,
Garry, what's your diagnosis?
I'm basically of the same mindset. I locked myself in at the age of 16. So for me, I don't want to grow up, and that's fine. And I know Bill's not drinking because he appeals to kids now, and he's drinking soda. So he's cool. I'm fine with it. Whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you happy. My God, the world is going to end in about 3 months. So let's just enjoy.
But you've got a bunch of Beatles stuff, don't you?
I got some. I don't have any collect. I mean, when I got some money, I bought the Hofner bass that Paul played. I bought it 35 years ago because I couldn't afford it when I was in high school and wanted a Hofner bass when the Beatles were big, and he had the Hofner bass. And then in the 80s, I could afford it. I bought a Hofner bass, that kind of stuff. But I don't have nearly the collection you guys have. All right. Hey, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Garry. Thanks,
All
Leslie.
right.
Greg, great to see you.
Yes, always nice to see you. And I do have to get to see that collection in real life.
You got it. Whenever you want.
Thank you, man. I really
All
want
right.
to. I want to see that. It looks very impressive.
All right. Ryan is going to do his Wisconsin report. Before we do that, Ryan, are you there? Before we get to Ryan.
I am. How are you?
Good. Good. How about that?
So Washington County Fairgrounds is in West Bend, Wisconsin. So it's about maybe 35 minutes, 40 minutes north of Milwaukee.
Okay. That's where Butch Patrick is. Before we get to your report, let's do an homage to the fine sponsors of the program, which would be Bettenhausen Automotive. Alan?
Get out of the office and into adventure during the Jeep Celebration event going on now at Bettenhausen Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram on 159th Street in Tinley Park. Right now, Bettenhausen has the all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee L in stock. Lease a new 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee L Laredo for only $419 per month. Your best Jeep buying experience starts now at BettenhausenCDJR.com.
Ellen informed me that those colors in the Bettenhausen logo, those are the Ukrainian flag colors.
Yeah,
Did you know that?
In that commercial, absolutely.
Yeah.
I had gotten booted out of the show, so I'm a little bit behind. I'm back here though.
All right. What do you mean you got booted?
I got an error screen that said you'll have to try again. This wasn't your fault. I've never seen that screen before.
Wow.
But let's take a moment. Let's bring Leslie on and set up the contest before we talk about David Hochberg.
Before we talk about David. Okay.
Yeah, let's set up the contest so that we don't get
Leslie,
away from that.
What should we hashtag collectibles? What should we do?
I mean, exactly. Where do we go with this except hashtag collect?
Collect. Okay.
So
that's what you put in
everybody
there.
hashtag collect. We'll keep it real nice and simple for you. And why do I imagine that Bill and Greg are now going to a used store and letting their wives out?
Yeah, right.
The door opens and the wife's in there going,
yeah, come on out. You can get some air.
Okay, thank you.
How about that? Okay.
Hashtag collect. Now let's talk about David Hochberg would say.
Yes. If you need a mortgage or refi or anything associated with a mortgage, this is the guy. He will help you with a free consultation initially, and then hopefully you'll do business with him. So call for that. You can't lose. Hey, I want to find out about a reverse mortgage, a VA loan. Call that number and he'll tell you about it. And then he's the guy to do business with. So what's there to discuss beyond that? There are the numbers and MLS number 1124061, all that stuff. Team Hochberg, I've known David for many years. He is aces. He gets things done. All right. And Ryan is going to do his Wisconsin report.
Yes.
All right. Right?
Yes.
And then we'll talk to Leslie. She's got stuff. We still have a lot to see. I told you we're going to run late.
We're running long. Yep.
We're running long. All right. Let's hit that Wisconsin report.
It's Wisconsin, yeah, hey.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan, and I have a few fun updates this week from Wisconsin. I'm not old enough to remember the gas wars of the 70s, but there's a gas war going on that resulted in a lawsuit here in Waukesha, Wisconsin. There's a Woodman's store, which is a grocery chain with a gas station attached right across the street from a Shell, and then down the road a little bit, there's a BP. Well, Woodman's has been having their gas priced at $3.60, while the other gas stations was $3.86. The other two filed a lawsuit in court that says they're violating the Fair Sales Act in Wisconsin. Well, Woodman's chimed back and said, hey, they're exempt, and they're trying to match the local competitor's price. Well, that local competitor is Costco, which is about 7 miles away. So maybe that isn't a local competitor, and that's why BP and Shell are crying foul. I don't really care. It's cheap gas in this, market of high gas prices and everything else. We'll see where it ends up. Changing subjects, and I don't know if this is a 100% vetted story, but it showed up on several news sources that the Wisconsin DNR is going to start outfitting local deer around the area with bulletproof vests. Their comment is, hey, hunting's been so unfair for so many years, this will even the game between hunters and deer. Now, again, I did a little bit of searching. I can't tell if it's real or not, but there's some fun publicity that maybe the DNR wants, and to promote hunting and safe hunting. There's a few pictures here that I can show you around what the deer looks like with the bulletproof vest. It's a mock-up, but it's fun. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.
Ryan, you don't know if it's fake or not. They're going to put vests on deers.
Yeah, I saw it
on deers. Deers, is that they can't on deer plural?
That's what some of the local Milwaukee stations led with. Hey, the DNR is putting vests on deers, and I went
on deers, or it's deers plural, right?
It's deer,
it's
right?
Deer.
It's deer,
right.
but they said deers.
deer.
So
deers over by there, yeah,
hey,
hey, deers, yeah, hey.
Yeah,
that's
In
funny.
Scandinavia, they're painting their antlers with fluorescent paint to stop car accidents.
Oh,
and to make them easier to shoot at night, I guess, too.
That too. Okay.
You're so inclined.
Thank you, Ryan.
And one other thing, I know we talk about those YouTube channels with stump grinding, power washing. My mother-in-law had some tree work done, and I said, hey, can I take some video of this? And they said, no, we'd rather not. We're working on starting our own YouTube channel. Plus, if we have any OSHA violations, we don't want anybody to come get us. So they wouldn't let me take any video.
They were grinding a stump, and they didn't want you to take video.
No, and tree
They were
trimming. And
violating OSHA rules.
Yes, they said, well, we'll get in trouble because we might be following all the OSHA rules, and we want to start our own YouTube channel too. So,
okay, what? Yeah, really. What rules are violated with your stump grinding? I might ask.
Maybe they didn't have their safety glasses, or steel-toed boots, or I don't know. It was bizarre, but
all right. Thank you, Ryan. All right, and Leslie's got that setting sun streaking across her face.
I do. Should I close that? Nah, let it
No,
go. It's
it
so
looks
nice
good.
to have
Hey,
it.
sun. Yes.
So we've been talking collectibles today. A sign print will only cost you around $150, but if you want to own one of Andy Warhol's original paintings of Marilyn Monroe, you're going to have to cough up a whole lot more. The pop artist piece titled Shot Sage Blue Marilyn is expected to fetch a staggering $200 million when it goes up for auction later this spring. And at that price, it's set to become one of the most expensive 20th century paintings ever sold at auction. All proceeds will be going to charity. And with that said, I have a piece by another pop artist. Does anyone remember Peter Max?
Yes.
Very popular with the Smothers Brothers. Here, let me adjust so I can actually see if I'm doing this right. This is a painting, or actually it's a marker piece that he did of me back in 2002. So if you want to own an original Peter Max of Leslie Kyling,
wow,
let's talk price.
There you go.
I'm not
Jesus.
saying what price, but let's talk price. We were talking about this in the pre-show. A hotel in Rome has had to start arming its guests against aggressive birds. The Gritti Hotel has begun handing out water pistols to folks dining al fresco to ward off seagulls intent on stealing their meals. A representative for the Gritti says shooting water at the birds is very effective. He points out that on top of that, the guns they use are bright orange, a color that for some reason seagulls don't like.
Oh, okay. So you sit there with a squirt gun and just shoot the birds. Doesn't hurt them, but keeps them away from your food.
Rizzlety, Rezzlety,
No.
no. And a dog named Fesco has a new home after his previous owners abandoned him for being gay. 4-year-old Fesco was dropped off at the Stanley County Animal Shelter in North Carolina after he was caught engaging in a sexual act with his former family's other male dog. Despite assurances that the dog's actions were perfectly normal, those owners were adamant about severing ties. But lucky for Fesco, Steve Nichols and his partner John learned of the pup's predicament and decided he needed a fresh start with them. They've even renamed him Oscar after poet Oscar Wilde, who himself enjoyed the company of men.
Okay, that is not a fake story. That's a real story. And let's be honest, and this is what my bumper sticker says, if you could lick your own genitals, you would. Thank you.
Yes, there you go. And, more power to you, Oscar.
Yeah, really.
Just
Jesus.
doing what you do. Do we have time for one more? What
One
the hell?
more.
We're an hour and 20 minutes into
Yeah,
this
really.
thing.
I told
What's
the
a little bit
affiliates.
more? And a man who lost the ability to move and talk because of the ravages of ALS is communicating again thanks to a new brain implant. After being locked inside his own thoughts for many months, it's what he had to say first that's earning him some international attention. Composing sentences at a rate of 1 character per minute. We're talking 1 letter per minute. The 36-year-old patient from the UK meticulously typed out a request for beer. After that, he asked to listen to music by the band Tool played loud, and he followed that up by a request for a head massage and some curry.
And I'd like to listen to the cocktail show, the GarrForce cocktail show. Oh, okay. G. Yes. A.
Where's he going with this?
Yeah, really. An hour later. R.
R.
Wow. Okay, thank you, Les. We're ready for the giveaway, I believe, of the condom. And you're going to reach into the fun bag, aren't you?
StreamYard told me I need to exit and return to do that today. I don't know why it's acting up, but I will be right back. You guys chat for another minute.
Well, Leslie's got to reach into the fun bag.
All right, you guys chat. I'll be right back.
Yeah, and she will pull something up.
All this collectible stuff.
What do you got?
In addition to my Bulldogging trophy, which I got at Scott's store in North Aurora, Scott Christopher.
North Aurora, Illinois.
I added a Lone Ranger lunchbox.
Hey, that's nice.
I think I'm on a theme.
You bought that at Scott's?
No, I actually had it in a bin. I was given that by a former coworker. So I got a thing going.
Yeah, you got something going. If you got a plexiglass or glass case, now you're officially collecting. Then you're
and
like
there
Bill
will
and
be
Greg.
less dusting, I find out. So
Can you
there's
imagine?
that. Okay, so
all right, reach down in there, pull something out that you've bought.
Tattoos.
Stick-ons. That's the best tattoo because they're not permanent.
Yeah.
those
So
are
if
nice.
you change your mind and have at it. Oh, and those 20
tattoos going with the wine condom to the lucky winner, and hashtag collect, I believe,
Hashtag collect
is the way to go. And
All right, I think we've got it now. Let's see what happens.
All right, you ready, Leslie? You ready, Ellen?
So let's see. That's this button over here, and it looks like it's going to work.
I hope so.
You're not seeing it yet.
No, I'm
I
not.
know that the sound effects are
Now
sounding
we're
good.
seeing it. All right,
All right,
sound
hit the
effect
button.
ready? Let's go
Yes.
for it.
Phil
Philip!
wins the condom and the tattoos. And what should he do, Alan?
He should either message you on Facebook, or since he's on YouTube, send you an email at GarryMeierShow@GarryMeyer.com, or text 773-888-2157. Regular
All right.
charges apply.
All right.
You
Well-
know, I need to apologize to
For
last
what?
week's winner, Julie. I was remiss
What
in
happened?
getting her prize out. So it's coming. It's in the mail. Check's in the mail. But it's on its way. It's just running a little late. I
All right.
usually like when people can have the prize by the Friday show.
Right.
And I'm sorry, Julie, but it's coming.
All right. All good. Okay. I finished my drink and I just swallowed the Luxardo cherry and I'm good. I'm ready for the
Marcia
rest
wants
of
to
the
know
evening.
how the bread is. Have you made
Yeah.
some bread?
I'm going to make my bread this weekend. And Ryan sent me some bread mix and I'm going to stroke that thing up this
Oh,
weekend.
there you go.
Yeah. There's my face on a piece of toast. All right. Let's take that cannoli. It's complimentary coming down the aisle. It's delicious. Look at it. It's very good. There's the cannoli. Take the cannoli. What about the schnauzer, Leslie?
You know what? I would take my schnauzer and along with any other schnauzers that I can lay my hands on and put it in a glass case for
Stream that
safekeeping.
schnauzer, put it in a glass case, revere it. Fetch on all
Absolutely.
fours. Thank you for listening. Back on Monday. Have a great weekend. The GarrForce, we're wheels down in the green, gears down, and wheels are down. We've landed.
If you like that, I got other stuff I think you're going to like. This is the GarrForce